My girlfriend insisted that before the wedding, I had to pay off her student loan as a gift or consider the wedding canceled. I said, okay, I understand. Then I called the wedding planner and canceled everything. According to the clause in the contract, I had the cancellation fee billed to her father. That evening, when she found out, she was standing at my door with her father beside her. Hi friends, which city are you watching these stories from? Let me know in the comments, and please share the story to support me. My name is Daniel, I'm 31, and I work as a construction project manager in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in this field for about 8 years now, coordinating commercial builds, shopping centers, office complexes, that kind of thing. The pay is solid, the hours are long, and the stress is real. But I'm good at what I do, and I've built a decent life for myself. I own a small 2-bedroom condo in a decent neighborhood, drive a paid-off truck, and I've got a retirement account I actually contribute to. Nothing fancy, but stable. 2 years ago, I met Lindsay at a mutual friend's barbecue. She was a 4th-grade teacher, sweet and bubbly, with this infectious laugh that made everyone around her smile. She had this way of making kids light up when she talked about her classroom, and I love that about her. We hit it off immediately. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. A year and a half later, I proposed at the same park where we'd had our first official date. She cried, I cried, and I genuinely believed I'd found the person I was going to grow old with. The wedding was set for late October. We'd booked a venue, this beautiful restored barn about 40 minutes outside the city, hired a planner, locked in a caterer, sent save the dates. Everything was moving forward smoothly. My mom was excited, my sister was helping with decorations, and I'd already picked out my groomsmen. Until 3 weeks ago, when Lindsay sat me down at her apartment and said we needed to talk about something important. I remember the exact moment. It was a Tuesday night, around 8:30. I'd just come from a site inspection and was still in my work boots, covered in dust. She had this nervous energy, pacing around her living room, wringing her hands like she was about to confess to something terrible. What's going on? I asked, setting my keys on the counter. She stopped pacing and turned to face me. I've been thinking a lot about our future, about what it means to start a marriage on the right foot. Okay, and I think it's important that we go into this without any major financial burdens hanging over us. I nodded slowly. I agree. That's why I've been saving. We've talked about this. Right, but she bit her lip. I still have my student loans. From undergrad and my teaching credential program. It's about $48,000. I knew about the loans. She'd mentioned them before, but we'd never really dug into the details. I just assumed we'd handle them together after we got married, the way couples do. Make a budget, tackle them over time, maybe refinance if the rates were bad. I was thinking, she continued, her voice a little steadier now, that it would be a really meaningful gesture if you paid them off. As a wedding gift. To me. I stared at her. A wedding gift. Yeah. I mean, think about it. We'd be starting our marriage debt-free. It would take so much pressure off us. We could save for a house faster. Maybe start thinking about kids sooner. Off us. I repeated. Or off you. Her face flushed. Daniel, don't be like that. We're about to be married. What's mine is yours, right? That works both ways, Lindsay. But you're asking me to drop almost 50 grand before we even say I do. She crossed her arms. I'm not asking. I'm telling you this is important to me. If you're not willing to do this, then maybe we need to reconsider whether we're ready to get married at all. I felt my chest tighten. The air in the room seemed to shift. Are you seriously giving me an ultimatum right now? I'm being honest about what I need, she said, her voice cold now, like she'd flipped a switch. If you can't support me in this, then I don't think we should go through with the wedding. I stood there in her living room, work boots still on, dust on my jeans, staring at the woman I'd planned to spend my life with, and I realized I didn't recognize her. This wasn't the person who'd laughed at my terrible jokes or held my hand during my dad's funeral last year. This was someone else entirely. Okay, I said quietly. I understand. She blinked, clearly not expecting that response. You do? Yeah, I understand. I picked up my keys and left her apartment without another word. Update 1. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, trying to make sense of it. $48,000. As a gift. Before the wedding. And if I didn't comply, the wedding was off. Not a discussion. Not a negotiation. An ultimatum. I thought about calling her, trying to talk it out, but something stopped me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the realization that if she was willing to hold our entire relationship hostage over money, then what else would she hold hostage down the line? Kids? A house? My career choices? The next morning, I called our wedding planner, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Patricia who'd been in the business for 20 years. She'd coordinated everything for us: the venue, the vendors, the timeline. She was expensive, but she was good. Patricia, it's Daniel. Daniel, hi. How are the final preparations coming along? That's actually why I'm calling. I need to cancel everything. There was a pause. Cancel? The wedding is in 5 weeks. I know, but it's not happening. She sighed, and I could hear the sympathy in her voice. She'd probably dealt with this before. All right, let me pull up your contract. I heard papers shuffling, the clicking of a mouse. Okay, so because we're within the 6-week window, you're subject to the cancellation fee. That's 75% of the total contract value, which comes to, let's see, $14,200. I remember, I said. And according to the contract, the cancellation fee is billed to whoever is listed as the primary financial contact, right? Correct. In your case, that's... Another pause. Richard Brennan, Lindsay's father. I'd insisted on that clause when we'd first signed with Patricia. Lindsay's dad had been weirdly controlling about the wedding planning from the start, insisting on approving vendors, weighing in on every detail, even though he wasn't paying for most of it. So when he'd offered to be listed as the financial contact, ostensibly to help us out and keep things organized, I'd agreed, but I'd made sure the contract was ironclad. If anyone canceled, the fee went to whoever was on file. Yeah, I said. That's correct. All right, Daniel. I'll process the cancellation today. The invoice will go out to Mr. Brennan by the end of the week. I'm really sorry this didn't work out. Thanks, Patricia. I hung up and sat in my truck in the parking lot of a Starbucks, feeling hollow. I wasn't angry yet, just numb. That evening, around 7, there was a knock at my door. 3 sharp raps, aggressive. I opened it, and there she was. Lindsay, red-eyed, furious, shaking. And beside her, equally furious, was her father, Richard. He was a tall guy, mid-50s, always dressed like he was about to close a business deal even on weekends. He looked like he wanted to strangle me. What the hell did you do? Lindsay shouted before I could even say hello. I canceled the wedding, I said calmly. Like you suggested. You billed my father $14,000. No, the contract billed your father. He's the financial contact. You know that. Richard stepped forward, his face bright red, a vein pulsing in his temple. You son of a bitch. You think you're clever? I think I'm done being manipulated, I said, keeping my voice level. Lindsay's voice cracked. You're doing this because of the loan? Because I asked you to help me? You didn't ask, Lindsay. You gave me an ultimatum. Pay up or the wedding's off. So I chose option 2. This is insane, she shouted, her voice breaking. You're throwing away our entire relationship over money? No, I said, my voice steady now, and I felt something hard settle in my chest. You did that. I was ready to marry you. I was ready to build a life with you. But the moment you made our marriage conditional on me writing you a check, you made it clear what this was really about. Richard jabbed a finger at me. You're going to regret this, you little shit. Maybe, I said. But I'll regret it a lot less than I'd regret spending the rest of my life with someone who sees me as an ATM. I closed the door. They stood there for another minute, yelling through the wood, but eventually they left. I poured myself a bourbon and sat on my couch in the dark. Update 2. The next few days were brutal. Lindsay blew up my phone. Calls, texts, voicemails. Most of it was angry. Some of it was pleading. Some of it was borderline incoherent. She said I was being cruel, that I'd blindsided her, that she'd never actually meant the ultimatum seriously, that it was just her anxiety talking. I was just stressed, she said in one voicemail, her voice thick with tears. I didn't think you'd actually cancel everything. Can we please just talk? I love you. We can work this out. I didn't respond. Every time I thought about replying, I remembered the look on her face when she'd given me that ultimatum. Cold. Calculated. Like she'd already made up her mind and was just waiting to see if I'd fall in line. Then her friends started reaching out. Most of them were on her side, telling me I'd overreacted, that I was being petty, that I should have just communicated better. One of them, a woman named Becca who I'd always gotten along with, sent me a long text. Daniel, I get that you're hurt, but Lindsay is devastated. She made a mistake. Can't you at least hear her out? You two were so good together. Don't throw it all away. I replied. She made our marriage conditional on a financial transaction. That's not a mistake. That's a deal breaker. Becca didn't respond. But here's where it got interesting. For days after I canceled the wedding, I got a call from my buddy, Trevor. He's a financial advisor, and we'd gone to college together. We'd stayed close over the years, and he'd actually been one of my groomsmen. Hey man, he said when I answered. I heard about the wedding. I'm sorry. Thanks, Trev. Listen, I don't want to make things worse, but there's something you should probably know. My stomach dropped. What? I ran into Lindsay's cousin, Ashley, at a client meeting yesterday. We got to talking, and she mentioned something that didn't sit right with me. Go on. She said Lindsay's been seeing a financial planner for the past few months. Apparently, she's been trying to figure out how to consolidate her debts before the wedding. Debts? Plural? Yeah. Ashley said Lindsay has credit card debt too. A lot of it. She didn't know the exact number, but she said it was way more than the student loans. I felt my blood run cold. She never mentioned credit cards. I know. That's why I'm calling. Ashley seemed uncomfortable even bringing it up, but she thought you should know. I think you dodged a bullet, man. I thanked Trevor and hung up. Then I sat there, staring at the wall, trying to process what I'd just heard. Lindsay had credit card debt, on top of the student loans. And she'd conveniently left that part out when she demanded I pay off her financial burdens. I didn't confront her about it. Not yet. I wanted to see if she'd come clean on her own. She didn't. Update 3. A week after the cancellation, Lindsay showed up at my apartment again. This time, she was alone. No Richard, no backup. She looked exhausted. No makeup, hair pulled back in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. She was wearing sweatpants and an old college hoodie. For a second, I almost felt bad for her. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I hesitated, then stepped aside. She sat on my couch, hands folded in her lap, staring at the floor. I owe you an apology. For what, specifically? She flinched. For the ultimatum. For making you feel like I only cared about the money. That wasn't what I meant. Then what did you mean, Lindsay? She looked down, picking at her cuticles. I was scared. I've been drowning in debt for years, and I thought if we got married, we could tackle it together. But I didn't want to start our marriage with me dragging you down. I thought if you paid off the loans, it would be a fresh start. For both of us. And the credit cards? I said. Her head snapped up. What? The credit card debt. How much is it? Her face went pale. How much, Lindsay? She swallowed hard. 32,000. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe it. 32,000. So you wanted me to pay off 48,000 in student loans, and you were sitting on another 32,000 that you didn't even mention. I was going to tell you. When? After I wrote the check. Daniel, please. What was the plan, Lindsay? I pay off the loans, we get married, and then a few months later you casually drop the credit card bomb? Were you going to ask me to pay those off too? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you were planning to use our marriage as a way to clean up your financial mess without actually being honest about how deep that mess goes. She started crying, covering her face with her hands. I didn't know how to tell you. I was ashamed. I made stupid choices in my 20s, and I've been paying for them ever since. I just wanted a clean slate. At my expense. That's not fair. Get out. Daniel. Get out of my apartment, Lindsay. She stood up, wiping her face, mascara smudged under her eyes. You're making a mistake. We could have figured this out together. No, I said, walking to the door and opening it. You made the mistake when you decided to manipulate me instead of trusting me. She walked past me without another word. I closed the door and leaned against it, feeling like I'd just run a marathon. That was the last time I saw her. Final update. It's been 3 months now. The wedding would have been this weekend, actually. October 23rd. I'd be standing at that barn right now, watching leaves fall outside, waiting for her to walk down the aisle. Instead, I'm sitting on my couch, drinking coffee, watching college football, and I feel fine. I heard through the grapevine that Lindsay moved back in with her parents about a month after everything went down. Apparently, Richard is furious with her too, not just about the canceled wedding, but about the debt she'd been hiding from everyone, including him. Trevor told me Ashley said there'd been a huge blowout at their house, screaming and crying, and Lindsay's barely speaking to her family now. Richard apparently threatened to cut her off completely if she didn't get her finances in order. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, honestly. I threw myself into work, picked up a new project in Raleigh that's keeping me busy, and started going to the gym more. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious yet, but I'm not in a rush. I'm rediscovering what it's like to just exist without someone constantly demanding something from me. The weird part is, I don't miss her. I thought I would. I thought I'd spend months agonizing over whether I'd made the right call, replaying memories, wondering if I should have tried harder. But I don't. Because every time I think about that conversation, about the ultimatum, about the hidden debt, I realize I didn't lose the love of my life. I lost someone who was willing to manipulate me into funding her mistakes. And there's a big difference. A few people have asked if I regret how I handled it. Canceling the wedding, sticking her dad with the bill. Honestly, no. Could I have been more diplomatic? Maybe. But she backed me into a corner, and I made the only move I had left. Richard signed that contract. He agreed to be the financial contact. If he's mad about the bill, he should take it up with his daughter. I ran into Becca at a brewery last month. She apologized for the text she'd sent, said she'd heard the full story from some mutual friends and realized she'd been too quick to judge. We had a beer, caught up a little, talked about our lives. It was nice. She even admitted that she'd always thought Lindsay was a little too focused on money, but she'd never wanted to say anything. She used to complain about her debt all the time, Becca told me. But she'd also go on these shopping sprees and then act shocked when her credit card bill came. I don't think she ever actually wanted to fix it. She just wanted someone else to fix it for her. That pretty much confirmed everything I'd suspected. I don't know what Lindsay's doing now. I don't care to know. I hope she figures her life out. I really do. But it won't be with me footing the bill. I'm good. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I made the right choice. I've got my sanity, my savings, and my self-respect. That's more than I would have had if I'd married her. Edit 1. A few people have asked why I didn't just sit down with Lindsay and have a calm conversation about the debt before canceling everything. Fair question. The truth is, I tried. After she gave me the ultimatum, I asked if we could talk it through, figure out a plan together. She shut me down. She said it wasn't up for negotiation. Her exact words were, "This is what I need from you." So I made my choice. Edit 2. Someone DM'd me asking if I ever got an apology from Richard. Nope. He sent me one threatening text about pursuing legal action, but nothing ever came of it. I'm pretty sure his lawyer told him he didn't have a case. The contract was clear. He signed it. End of story. Edit 3. For everyone saying I should have just paid off the loans and dealt with the credit card debt later. Man, if you think that's how healthy relationships work, I feel bad for you. Marriage isn't a bailout program. It's a partnership. And partnerships don't start with ultimatums and hidden debts. They start with honesty. Lindsay didn't give me that, so I gave her the door.